Hello, everyone. Welcome. Thanks for taking time to join us here at DataRobot. I'm excited to do this exclusive customer-only topic today. We are going to talk through new agentic AI capabilities in the DataRobot platform. We're calling it scaling from one to many, and that refers to how many agents people are probably working in production today. So, a few things we will want to cover for housekeeping. We aim to keep this webinar to about 30 minutes, so we might move a little bit quickly. Given that you're all customers, if there's anything you want more information on, feel free to reach out to your account team at any time or ask questions as we go through. You can do that using the chat function here in Zoom, and we'll try and answer questions live as we go as well. I'm sure one of the first questions everyone will have is, are we going to share the recording and slides? And yes, we will. But that's no excuse to leave now. Please pay attention, and we'll have lots of good topics for you, but we will send them to your email you used to register for the event. So I'm going to introduce myself now formally and my co-speaker today. I am Nikki Ruda. I'm a senior director of PMM here at DataRobot. I've spent about 30 years doing enterprise IT. And gosh, doesn't that make me feel old? But I am excited to share with you some of what we're working on. And I'm joined today by my colleague Shreya, who is a senior product manager here. And she's going to be giving us a live demo as we go in a little bit later in the topic. So what will we cover? We're going to talk a little bit about a survey we conducted a couple of months ago now. In February of this year, we published our unmet needs survey. This is an annual survey we run, and it covers a lot of what we see happening in the market, common challenges people are facing, common sentiments they have about it, and what to do. We'll talk about recent DataRobot releases. If you want to know what is new from us, we're going to cover a variety of things, probably going back about 6 months in what's new in the agent workforce platform. Shreya is going to do that demo on our agent assist capability. We'll talk briefly about resource management and scaling, and if we have extra time, we can do some additional Q&A at the end. So I want to kind of level set and say what we're seeing in the market is kind of two kinds of transformation happening. And when I talk about these transformations, generally I'm not referring to just chatbots. Lots of people are doing LLM based, like let's talk to my data, let's talk to my docs, let's have a co-pilot. But we're trying to do more sophisticated things. And we see those falling into two basic categories. Category one is reimagining processes. So this is an existing workflow you might have. We have an example here for Aon, a large insurance company that has introduced agents to speed up how they do underwriting. So when they have new contracts coming in, they need to collect information from people, see whether they want to accept the risk on that, what the pricing should be, do they need more info? They have automated a lot of that steps with agents in the workflow and humans checking it at the end. So they're being served up the info they need, but communications with applicants for insurance are largely handled by agents today. And I don't mean human agents, but they're validated by humans at the end. So that speeds up their time to delivery and make a decision on underwriting significantly and reduces the workload on people trying to evaluate those by like 90%. So pretty amazing efficiency improvement, but it's generally improving an existing process. Another category we have here, new frontier agents. And here we talk about inventing and deploying things that previously just couldn't do or weren't doing and didn't have the technology for. And if you came to GTC, you might have seen us talk a little bit about Chevron. I'm not going to go into details here, but we shared some prototypes we're working on with them and some simulations and things we were doing that help them look at their operations and improve human safety. So really just an entirely new way of working coming into stake there. And again, going beyond co-pilots and chatbots is really what we're all about here. So with that level set, let's talk a little bit about what we're seeing happening in the market. As I said, we ran this survey at the beginning of this year. We see that we're full on into the agentic era. We've moved from predictive and machine learning into large language models and generative AI, and now agents are really front and center. So we surveyed just over 400 people, and we came up with 5 critical unmet needs. We see that a lot of these people are moving to agents in production and running into unexpected costs, and it's taken a bit longer than they expected. So those are kind of the top level summary. But let's go a little bit deeper. So unmet need number one. The first thing we want to talk about is delivering mission critical agents. So if we talk about tier zero, meaning this is not something that's just used internally to get a first draft of an email. This is something that is really business critical and will affect the business if it fails or misbehaves. So there's really zero tolerance in this area. And we found that 34% of our respondents to the survey did plan to deploy tier zero mission critical agents with DataRobot. So there's that level of trust that they're building this, that they can run with confidence and move forward on it. Um, that said, 98% of them to do that had very specific requirements for accuracy, audibility, cost, latency, some of those types of things. They were worried about security risks, they're worried about integration with existing systems and operational costs. And again, I'm not going to go through every number on this because you can access the report. We'll give you a link to download in a moment. But unmet need number one is how do we deliver mission critical agents? The second thing we found was people looking outside of public clouds, and this was a little bit surprising. You think of agents, and a lot of people think of some of the hyperscalers out there, Amazon, Google, Azure, et cetera, or even operating like Databricks, which runs on a lot of those platforms, but is in the cloud. And we found a lot of people were actually looking for alternatives. 85% said they were looking at sovereign cloud. Well, that whether that means a different government point of view or it just means they want more control over what they're doing and don't necessarily have full trust to operate everything in the cloud. We also found that more than three-quarters were looking at potentially deploying in air-gapped environments. This may be the nature of our clients where they tend to be in highly regulated industries or government situations where it's very sensitive, but people looking at how can they operate in an environment that they fully control. And 95% of users said they had some concerns about their hyperscalers' support for it. And only 11% said they're very satisfied with what they're getting today. So this is a big trend we're paying attention to, and obviously we have solutions to help here as well. Third unmet need was around cost control and predictability. Probably this was the least surprising one, with nearly three-quarters of people saying they're having higher operating costs than they expected, and that impacting their ROI of their agentic operations. And 57% saying the costs were growing as agents scale, not shrinking. So you're not necessarily getting economies of scale as you go through that. And that was also a concern. People thought after they built it, prices would go down. The reality is inference costs were specifically a barrier to ROI. And the more inference you're doing, the more expensive it gets. So we talked a little bit more about what to do about that. Avoiding sprawl and lock-in was another concern. People finding they had lots of different tools, on average, more than 12 different tools in their AI stack, not counting hardware infrastructure, just software tools. And three-quarters, 73%, saying they're spending too much time on plumbing these together, stitching together open source components, vendor components, self-built components, and really that's causing them some issues. And almost, oh, well, 90%, almost everybody said that vendor neutrality and openness was critical for their agentic AI strategy. They did not want to end trapped using a specific tool, probably because the industry is changing so rapidly. There's always a new tool, a new model. They want to have that flexibility as they go forward. And the last unmet need was around managing fleets of agents. So as we move from a single agent or agents prototypes into multiple agents in production, we found that about a third already have more than 10 agents in production, two-thirds expecting to get there within 2 years, and 5% are already doing more than 100 agents. But as they get large numbers of agents into production, it magnifies the scale of some of the challenges. So again, over 90% thought they were starting to see day two operational issues. Day zero is when you're building it. Day one is when you launch it. Day two is ongoing operations. And people were really concerned about this. They were seeing hallucinations, API failures, cost spiraling, all kinds of other concerns. So addressing that long term as you move from prototype to production, how do we make sure it runs correctly and efficiently is another big concern. So what to do about this? Well, first, if you want to take a moment, you can scan that QR code, or you can just go to our website and look for Unmet Needs Survey, and you can read the report in much more detail. I gave you kind of a whirlwind tour of it there, but come check it out, learn a little bit more. And that actually brings us to our first poll question. So if you've been paying attention to these unmet needs, which of these makes sense to you? You should have gotten a pop-up come up here right now. Is it around delivering mission critical agents? Is it around support outside of public cloud? Is it around cost control, predictability, avoiding sprawl and lock-in, or managing fleets of agents? You can choose more than one if you like as well. And probably people have multiple concerns here, but um, Let's see if people have put in their results. Maybe we can pop up those and take a look what people voted for. It looked like, well, cost control and predictability, number one concern, about 67% said. About half of you said delivering mission critical agents, and 40% said managing fleets of agents. So those were the top three. Pretty interesting results and probably lines up pretty closely to what we saw as well. So that brings us around to what are we going to do about it? And here's where DataRobot has put a lot of time and effort into developing new capabilities to address these. And I'm going to go through some of those highlights, and then I'll turn it over to Shreya to give you a demo of one of the areas we're really excited about. So if you're not familiar, if you're a DataRobot customer who's mostly used us for things like AutoML or predictive, we launched almost a year ago our agent workforce platform. This was co-built with NVIDIA. And the idea here is that it is the only end-to-end agent workforce for secure, scalable, production-grade agents. We have kind of two main facets of this: building agents and giving you flexibility to build how you want, making sure that they are built correctly, running correctly, doing things as expected. And then the runtime, once you're rolling it out there, how do we make sure it's efficient, cost optimized, secure, governed? Now, some people need some help with this, so we have a center of excellence as well. So we can forward deploy some of our AI experts and help you on your way. We can either do it in workshops or long-term engagements, really however you want. But this is kind of the core of what we're offering today. So let's go through some of those unmet needs and let's talk about some of the ways DataRobot is developing new capabilities to help you with these. So the first unmet need, and one of the half of you voted for delivering mission critical agents. We have here kind of three categories of improvements we've done. A lot around the agent development experience, making it easy, more intuitive. If you want to build directly in our platform, giving you all the tools you need in code spaces, and we also still provide flexibility. You can build anywhere you want, really. Use whatever framework you want. If you have a favorite IDE, you have that flexibility. Shreya, as I said, will come in a moment here and show you some of our new agent building capabilities. Um, but we've also built some templates, being able to do common things like talk to my data, talk to my docs. These are ready to go. You just need to tailor them to your environment. We've added more agent evaluations with large language models as a judge or human in the loop. We've also added a number of business planning apps, cash flow forecasting, customer retention, supplier risk, demand planning. These are more complete templates and areas where we often see people wanting to do something that's very specific to a line of business or a use case. So having those a little bit more ready to go out of the box, you don't have to start from a blank page and build. We also have a lot of agentic tools we've rolled out. Our LLM gateway has 80 plus LLMs included in it. So just bring your own license. We have MCP compatible tools. We have a new knowledge workflows for agents, structured and unstructured. We have new planning capabilities. So when I talk about moving beyond just chatbots, I get really excited about this, being able to use things like NVIDIA's co-op optimizer and being able to do what if analysis, being able to do real modeling and forecasting and decision making and optimization. And we have some kind of domain specific things like NVIDIA's Physics Nemo, which can do actual physics simulations. A chatbot typically won't do that level of calculation for you. So all these kind of come around that first area. Second area, support outside of hyperscaler clouds. This wasn't voted for quite as much, but you can run this stuff anywhere you want. And we are giving you new options. We announced a partnership with Dell and being able to provide hardware for your data center. We announced a partnership with Nebius, a neo-cloud alternative to hyperscalers. Of course, you can run on AWS, Google, Azure, wherever you want. We act as that agent platform there, and then we interface with all the other services you might have in your environment, be it Salesforce, NetSuite, SAP, ServiceNow, and then provide a set of agents you can build, customize, or adapt to your environment, whatever type of work you want to do with it. On that next area of concern, cost control and predictability, a lot of this was how do we work efficiently, make it scalable and cost effective for inferencing. We really believe we have the best platform for inference. You can quickly deploy all kinds of NVIDIA NIMs and use Nematron. They're very efficient models and great choices for a lot of environments. We have a new workload API that helps you deploy containers and manage your workload and balance workloads. We can also manage multi-tenancy, so being able to control if you have multiple people using your resources, what types of agents get priority on it, or do you want to limit particular uses? The other thing around predictability and control is governance and monitoring. We've introduced all kinds of new guardrails and intervention capabilities, not just reporting if an agent's going wrong, but actually being able to stop it in its tracks if something's way off course. Monitoring, tracing end to end, being able to see everything that happens across an entire agent workflow, including multi-agents. We can enforce the governance across the entire life cycle and do compliance reporting automatically, providing documentation of what the agents are doing. If we shift gears and talk about sprawl and lock-in, this has been one of the big challenges. People finding that there's so many different tools. There's infrastructure at the cloud level, private infrastructure, on-prem. There's different models. There's different AI tools. There's different apps you need to integrate with. DataRobot, again, kind of comes in this middle layer here and is vendor neutral for LLMs, enables you to run anywhere you want, has portable containers so you can move your agents across different environments, has blueprints with customized environments and preferred developer tools. All these different pieces you need to build, operate, and govern your agents, orchestrate and optimize them, but in a flexible way. You can mix and match, you can change things as you like. We give you choice and freedom and the ability to run exactly how you want on your terms while being able to simplify the environment and bring all these things together and make them work smoothly together as well. The last area we want to talk about is scaling up to fleets of agents, going from 1 to 100, we often reference here for agents, and being able to do better inference. We're talking about NIM operator and Dynamo being new capabilities we're working on with NVIDIA. We're looking at that workload API, scalability of applications, and horizontal auto scaling for NVIDIA NIMs, and more controls with end-to-end lineage, end-to-end governance. This again becomes really important when you start to go to many agents who might be interacting with each other, not just doing a single task. We can do OTel compliant metrics and logs and feed those into Datadog or ServiceNow or whatever platform you're interested in. We can preserve and enforce ACL metadata. So if we're pulling data from a different source and it has access control lists and restrictions on who can use it and how, we can carry that over into how your agents work. We can work on agent identity using Okta and being able to tell which agents are supposed to be able to do what and validate that they are who they say they are. And then multi-tenant governance as well. So a lot of new capabilities there. I know I basically just gave you a summary of them, but again, we're very happy to do trials, demos, whatever you want as you dig in a little bit deeper into each of these. But that whirlwind overview brings us around to our second poll. And I'm curious which of these feature sets that you just heard about are you most interested in? It looks like we popped it up here. So is it around agent development, agentic tools, business planning apps, scalable, cost-effective inferencing, governance and monitoring, scaling agentic workloads, or enforcing controls on agents? Again, you can pick more than one of these if you think they're all interesting. Feel free to tick all the boxes. But we're very curious which areas you see as most valuable to what you're doing here as well. So let's take a quick look at the results and see what people have voted for so far. Anticipation is killing me. I am really interested. I'm sure our product managers are as well. So if we look across the list, 70% of you voted for agent development. Shreya will be very happy to hear that as somebody who's responsible for that here at DataRobot. Next highest was on enforcing controls at 57%, agentic tools at 52%, governance and monitoring 48%, and on down the list. So very interesting to see where you are and good to see that we're building things for each of those different areas. So what I'd like to do now is shift gears a little bit and hand it over to my colleague Shreya and let her talk a bit about Agent Assist, a new feature she recently introduced, which was actually cited in a CRN award. So pretty hot stuff here, and I can't wait to hear about it with you.
Hi everyone, glad to have you all here. And thanks, Nikki. As you just said, very excited to hear that more than 70% of folks are interested into agent development, and that's why we are here. So we have recently released Agent Assist. Agent Assist is your natural language conversational tool which helps you build an agent right from the beginning of an idea till the end, where you can actually deploy it and go and use it every time. And you can do all that with a natural language interface. You can use it in your CLI terminal of your choice. You can do it on your local terminal. You can do it on your any coding tool of your choice, be it VS Code, be it whatever tool you want, or you can also use our code space to do it as well. I'll quickly go through the demo, but just to give you a little bit of sense of what are some of the problems that Agent Assist is helping customers solve now is everybody wants to build an agent, every enterprise wants to do it, but the problem is the moment you start going with it, you start seeing problems when it comes to productionizing it, when it comes to actually validating, hey, does this agent even solve the problem I actually built it for? And that's where Agent Assist comes up with the whole set of solution where you can just go from your idea. It helps you define a requirement, it helps you simulate the behavior, and then you can actually code it. And we help you code it on an already productionized template code, so it helps you go faster around it. And then you can deploy it with just one command of saying, hey, deploy it for me, and it will go and deploy it for you. So let's quickly jump into it. I'll share my screen. And let me know if you guys can see my screen.
Yep, looks good.
One sec.
There we go.
Uh, awesome. So yeah, so this is my CodeSpace terminal, and you can see all I've done is you can do it in any terminal of your choice, but all I've done it is DR plugin install assist, and my assist is ready to be run. And now I go and launch the experience, and it just launches the assist experience and it presents me the option on what would I like to do here. Do I want to design an agent? Do I want to code one if I already have an idea in my mind and it's there? So I can bring some context of an idea from outside to just add it here and say, hey, here's my idea, go and please code it. Or if my idea is already ready, I can also go and code it. So here I'll just go and start building it. So I want to build, let's say, a customer support agent. So all I would say is I want to build a customer support agent that that handles order status. And you can see that Agent Assist will actually help me define the requirements. It will talk it through with me, and I can do it as and how I like. So for example, it's asking me about order information source. It's asking me about the capabilities I want my agent to have and how will it even identify the customer orders. So for now, I'll say use dummy data, but API, uh, lookup by order number, uh, handle returns, status, and general questions. And you can see it will take this, and if it has any further questions, it will ask it. I can say what if I have anything in my mind, or for now, I'll just say that okay, you can assume whatever is there, and I can go and change these requirements at any point of time, and I'll show you how it looks as well. So while it's running the spec, I already have this ready in a different repo where I was trying the same use case. So I'll quickly show you how does it even look. So based on how I define my requirements, it creates an agent spec file which I can go and edit here directly, or I can tell my agent assist in just a natural language and say, hey, can you change this for me, or can you change that for me? So now you see that it kind of generated the whole spec. It also gives me like what are the tools it will be using. Oops. And I'll just go quickly. Yep. And once I define like my requirements here, I can actually go and simulate it. So I'll show you what it does for me. can you simulate it now? So it asks me like, do I want to simulate my spec now? So what it does is it helps me validate the behavior even before I go and code anything. So it kind of gives me a peek into how the agent will work if it was already built, and that helps me like think through more clearly about what my requirements are. So for example, you can see that it started the rehearsal mode, and I have some network issue, I guess, and my session is closing, but I can quickly also show you in my local terminal. So let me just go and do that. Okay, so I'll quickly say it here again that, so this is my local terminal. Handled by order status, use dummy data, order number only. And you can see that it gives me like what are some of the prompt questions I can ask. So I'll go and ask it to let's simulate, and it will go show me like how it will work. So I'm again in the simulation mode where our connection got errored. So now I'll ask what's the order status for order 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and it will show me like how it will behave. And please note that we haven't coded anything at this point. So it shows me like how it will look in terms of how it will give me the output, what kind of tool calls it will call. And once I'm happy with that, I can say that, okay, now go and code. And what it will do is then it will use our agent application starter template uh, uh, and it will go and code based on that. So how that works is that that template itself is a production ready code. So it will just make it ready for my use case now, and I can go and code it. And I'll quickly show you how it looks when I'm trying to code my, so you can see like it goes and it starts like cloning the template. And I'll quickly change gears and show you how the deployment looks, keeping the time in mind as well. But all I have to do is say yes, and it will start doing everything. So I can say yes. I can, if I want to keep the control on approvals, I'll just say yes. I can go and say yes to all, and it will start with cloning the template, and it will start building my code for me. And once I'm good with my code, you can see like how it will look for this use case here. So this is where like you can actually go and validate your file. So it writes like my agent.file. My agent is a customer support agent that handles order status. Here's the tool call. So it has like written all the tool calls for me. And if I'm happy with it, I can just go and say, hey, deploy with it. Uh, and it will go and deploy. I have to launch the assist first, and then it will go and deploy. I can also do local testing if I want. So I can do that too. And I have a app ready which shows like how it looks. So once it deploys, you can actually go and see it here. So for example, you see here is one of my deployment. For a use case, I was trying to create a deal research demo which goes and looks into what were historical deals and how I can go and look and ask questions to it. So you can see that it kind of created the whole UI for me, whole agent for me. I can also build custom UIs here. So this one, since I don't have a data ready to connect with it, but this is like how I can also build a custom UI. So it's not just a chatbot, but you can build a wide variety of dashboards. And once you have your deployment here, sorry. Oops. So once you have your deployments here, you can also go and look at the use cases. You can go and more into like debug into this whole thing. You can actually look at logs and monitoring as well. For example, here I'll go and I'll see view runtime logs, and it will now show me all the monitoring and audits and loggings and everything and hotel metrics and everything. So basically, I went in from an idea that I wanted to create an agent on. I defined the requirements, I simulated it, I built the code around it, and then I was able to deploy it. And then I can do all the post deployment things here as well, all in one session in DataRobot using just natural language.
That is cool. I can attest to this. Shreya taught me how to use it last week, and as a marketing guy, I've already built my first agent using it. So, and actually rolled it into deployment. So, really cool stuff. Definitely, you'll want to check that out. I saw some of you in the chat were saying you were looking at requesting a demo or a trial for this. Definitely do so. I got a couple last topics before we close out. I know so many of you picked inference and scaling and efficiency as one of your top concerns. So I thought we might just take a moment to go a little deeper on that and talk about why DataRobot we think is the best platform for running inference in. So as you're out in production, this is the big challenge, not training a model, but running it. So we have the ability to do one-click deployments, as you saw there. We have the ability to do multi-tenancy, quotas and throttling and usage tracking and dashboards, even chargeback. We have the governance and compliance you need, role-based access control and approvals, compliance testing, reporting, enforcement, all of the box. We have observability. We showed you metrics and OTel, being able to look into all the different resources you're using and how much and who. Real-time moderation, guardrails intervention, toxicity, prompt injection, PI leakage, all the common types of things you might want to prevent, which came up quite often. And then resource optimization, being able to auto scale to match demand, being able to look at real request metrics of CPUs, GPUs, et cetera, and just manage your scaling for you. So that's a quick tour through some of the new things we've done in the last 6 months. Looking ahead, I just kind of want to reinforce what we see unique about DataRobot, and it's these 3 steps helping you build agents that drive your business, moving beyond basic chatbots to fleets of agents that reinvent business or do new types of frontier type agents. Running with total confidence, being able to do mission critical agents that perform flawlessly at scale in high stakes environments and tasks, and doing it on your terms, letting you do your tech stack, your data, your tools, control where they run, control who has access to things without migrating or refactoring or lock in. These are some of the things we think really differentiate us from some of the other alternatives out there. So if you want to learn more, this is just our homepage. I've put this up here in case the QR code doesn't work, but you can go to datarobot.com and hit any of these buttons to try it and just get a trial going or request a live demo that'll be tailored to your needs. Um, Definitely encourage everybody to do that so you can dive deeper in the features that were most interesting for you. And then just to kind of close out, I want to thank everybody for taking time to be with us today. I think it was really interesting to be able to look at all these together. I see them daily, but seeing that everything we've done is pretty exciting. So we will share this recording, the slides with the email you used. Any questions we didn't get to live, we'll reach out again by email. And if you happen to be going to Dell Technology World, if this isn't after the fact, come visit us. We'll be at booth 106 and be doing more live demos there. So with that, I am going to sign off for DataRobot and thank you one last time for your attention. Hope you all have a great day and look forward to seeing what you build next.